Good evening. At this time, I will reconvene into open session this meeting of the Arlington Independent School District Board of Trustees for August 13th, 2026, beginning at 6:41 p.m. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Our board meetings are open to the public, and we welcome everyone. We appreciate your participation in public education. While our meetings are open to the public, this is a meeting and we have business to conduct. Disruptions will not be permitted. Anyone who disrupts the meeting or speaks when others are speaking may be asked to leave or escorted out by security attending the meeting. We welcome civic input, but insist that we remain respectful and civil. Thank you for your cooperation. Please join student Sherilyn Plata from Crow Elementary, a 6th grade student, to lead us in tonight's pledges.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now it's time for a Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Now please join, yes. Give her a round of applause. Thank you, Sherilyn. Now please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. To learn a bit more about our student who led us in tonight's pledges, I'm going to turn it over to our Chief Communications Officer, Tiana Northington.
Thank you so much, President McMurrow. Well, I'm so glad you guys all enjoyed hearing from Sherilyn. I enjoyed getting to know her. And just a little bit about her is she is the oldest of 5 siblings. She has been a Crow student since she was 4 years old, and she says you can feel the love when you walk in there, and she genuinely knows she's going to miss it and savoring every part of her last year at Crow this year. Listening to how she described her teachers, she says that they're warm, they care about her, but most of all, they respect her. And I thought that was so unique to hear from her point of view what that means to her at Crow. Her proud principal is joining us today. And if Mr. Gonzalez, her math teacher from last year, is watching, shout out, because you are still her favorite teacher. Now, math is a big one in her world. She strives to be an architect, and her mom says that she will likely get there with all the determination she has. She says you are mature, kind-hearted. She says that you have a love and warmth that made her want to have more kids, and she's glad you were her first. In her spare time of taking care of her siblings, she is in the choir club, the running club, the garden club, and does the announcements. This is why she was so good at the Pledge of Allegiance. And if you ask her what she could eat every night of the week, it would be green spaghetti, which I learned is poblano peppers and sour cream that turn it green. And that is so cool. So I have to tell David Lewis about that one. But her mom makes it. And shout out to her mom and her siblings in the lobby joining us right now. We're so honored that you could be here. And I know you're going to have a great last year at Crow Elementary School.
I have a feeling that is exactly the kind of year you're going to have. Thank you, Sherilyn. The next part of our agenda is our recognitions. After our appointments this evening, we will take a short recess to take pictures with our honorees here in the boardroom. Leading the recognition portion of the agenda, I'm going to turn it back over to Ms. Northington.
President McMurrow, tonight we're excited to welcome Elise Poling, a junior at Martin High School and a member of the Martin Symphony Orchestra. Elise also serves as a principal cellist of the Fort Worth Youth Orchestra and ranks in the top 2% of her class as an AP scholar. For tonight's board meeting, she is going to perform Prelude from Bach's Cello, Suite Number 3. Please welcome Elise. I can even put on my own microphone. That was incredible. And by memory, my goodness. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence this evening. And once again, Elise is from Martin High School, part of the Symphony Orchestra. I'm sure they'll have plenty of shows this year, and you can obviously go see her and her friends at Martin or also at the Fort Worth Youth Orchestra. Wow. One more round of applause. That was incredible. Yes. Kicking off our board recognitions for this school year, we're excited to recognize two outstanding educators who were recently named the Region 11 Teacher of the Year finalists. In fact, that event happened during one of our board meetings, so I had the honor of representing the district and getting to spend some great time with these ladies and their families and their principals. And so for everyone who's watching, Region 11 typically gets all of the top teachers in the district to be nominated, elementary and secondary. More than 80,000 teachers are in Region 11 alone. 99 educators are selected as finalists, putting these two ladies in the top 0.1% of the region of our educators. And here's a photo of that exciting night. Arlington is the only district in Region 11 with two educators that were named finalists this year. That's a huge honor, and we're incredibly proud to recognize them both tonight. First, let's recognize, I'll talk a little bit about both of them, and then the board can come down and take some photos with them. Elementary Teacher of the Year finalist from Morton Elementary, beginning her 5th year in Arlington ISD. She's a leader with her students, coworkers, and community. Her principal says she has the mom factor and always teaches students about knowledge in books and the skills needed in life. She is a teacher by heart, and her students feel they can talk to her about anything. Our Region 11 Elementary Teacher of the Year is Pamela Lewis. And a side note, her and her husband were celebrating their anniversary on the night of the event, and they left their vacation early to come join us at the event. So we're honored to just make it a family affair for us. Next, we have our Secondary Teacher of the Year finalist from Barnett Junior High School. She is starting her 6th year in the district. She was a finalist from Barnett, but began teaching at Arlington Collegiate High School just this year. So she's got double love from the schools. She was a spirited and dedicated member of the Barnett family, never afraid to speak up, challenged her students to be their best, and always showed up for them, whether in the hallways, at schools, or even cheering them on at every sports game. Her energy, heart, and commitment made her a truly special part of Barnett. And now, ACHS, please welcome Region 11 Secondary Teacher of the Year finalist, Heaven Tello. Board members, if you would like to join, at this time, you guys can come down.
Yeah, scoot in a little bit on the sides. Go, look right here.
We want to have our principals come join individually we can do one at a time with their principals really quickly. You can both take one. All right. Congratulations. Thank you so much, ladies. This concludes tonight's honors and recognitions.
Yes, congratulations, Ms. Lewis and Ms. Tello, and we hope y'all had a great first couple days of school. Thank you for being here at a board meeting after the first 2 days of school. And we really do want to congratulate you. We also enjoyed celebrating both of you because you were chosen as the Kiwanis Teachers of the Year for the school district. And we're just so blessed to have you in AISD. And thank you also for joining us for convocation on the stage. But you deserve every part of the recognition that y'all are getting. We're very proud that you're part of the AISD family. Congratulations. We will now move on to administrative appointments. With no speakers registered for the appointments section tonight, we will go ahead and move on. Two appointments. Following the appointments, we will take a brief recess for photos and celebrations in the boardroom and lobby. Everyone is invited to join us at that time. Do I have a motion to ratify the appointments of the individuals discussed in closed session? Motion. Thank you. I have a motion from Trustee Haynes. Is there a second? Second from Trustee Fowler. Is there any further discussion on this item? All right, we will now move to vote. Thank you, trustees. The motion passes. To introduce our new appointments, I will turn it over to Dr. Smith.
All right, it's my honor to first introduce our new associate principal at Sam Houston High School, Mr. Juan Negrete. Juan has served as Dean of Instruction at Sam Houston High School since 2022 after previously serving as assistant principal at Arlington High School and beginning his career as a Spanish teacher at North Mesquite High School. We congratulate Juan on his new role at Sam Houston High School and look forward to the things he will do with that team. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you so much. President McMurrow, members of the board, Dr. Smith, thank you so much for having me here tonight. I want to start with some gratitude. I want to thank my God, Jesus Christ, for this opportunity. My wife, Helen, my daughter, Olivia, and my son, Benicio. And when I was given the opportunity to be here tonight, a lot of things came to my mind. I wanted to make it impactful. And I landed in one thing. I kept going to when I was 14 years old, and I was a newly arrived immigrant to this country. I didn't know the language, the education system, the culture. I didn't know a thing about my future. And among those things, one thing that I learned through all my years in school and education is that education, public education specifically, is the greatest equalizer. And I stand here tonight because of that reason. I am grateful for the opportunity I get at Sam Houston High School, and I will continue to make an impact. I have done it as a Dean of Instruction, so I do not take the responsibility lightly, and I am excited to serve now as the Associate Principal. Thank you.
It is now my honor to introduce our new Assistant Principal at Arlington High School, Ms. Sarah Henley. Sarah has served as AP at Bailey Junior High. Before that, she was AP at Sam Houston High School and a history teacher and coach in Arlington ISD and Fort Stockton ISD. Please welcome Sarah, who graduated from Arlington High, back to the Colt family.
Thank you. President McMurrow, members of the board, and Dr. Smith, thank you so much for this opportunity. There's something pretty special and honestly a little surreal about standing here today and realizing that I'm going back to the school that I once walked in as a student. I never imagined that one day I would come back through those doors with a badge, a title, and a little bit more wisdom. Coming back to Arlington High is more than just a position for me. It feels like coming home. The school played a part in shaping who I became, and now I have the incredible opportunity to help shape the experience of students who are walking the same halls. I want to sincerely thank Ms. Humbles for welcoming me back and giving me the opportunity to serve alongside such an incredible team who's come to support me. I'm excited to learn and contribute, and most importantly, to serve the students and families of Arlington High School. I also want to thank my wife, Cece, and my family for their constant support. I wouldn't be standing here today if it weren't for them. I'm incredibly grateful to Arlington ISD for trusting me with this opportunity, And then coming back to the school where I once was a student is something that I don't take for granted. It's a pretty amazing reminder that sometimes life brings you full circle, not necessarily back to where you started, but back to a place where you can make a difference. I'm honored to be coming home to Arlington High School, and I can't wait to get started. Kick 'em Colts. Thank you.
It is now my honor to introduce our new assistant principal at Workman Junior High, Mr. Gregory Payne. Gregory brings assistant principal teaching and coaching experience from all secondary levels. We congratulate Gregory as he joins Workman Junior High in serving every student, every classroom, every day this year. Welcome, Gregory.
Good evening, President McMurrow, members of the board, Dr. Smith, and members of Arlington ISD leadership team. I'm truly honored and grateful to accept the position of assistant principal at Workman Junior High. I don't take this opportunity lightly. I'm excited about the responsibility that comes with serving students in this community. My commitment is simple. I lead to lead with integrity, build meaningful relationships, support our teachers, and always keep students at the center of every decision that we make. I'm excited to join the Workman family and become a part of the Arlington ISD community. I look forward to working alongside our staff, student, family, and leadership team, and to help every student reach their full potential. Thank you, Dr. Fogelman and Dr. Dollar, for your confidence in me and giving me the opportunity, and I'm excited to get to work and serve Arlington ISD and Workman Junior High. Thank you.
And finally, last but not least, I'd like to introduce our new assistant principal at Ellis Elementary School, Melvin Vera Nieves. Melvin brings a unique blend of experience to the assistant principal role at Ellis, having served as a bilingual teacher in Arlington ISD, an assistant principal in Dallas ISD, and a police officer before entering education. We are all excited to welcome Melvin and know he will be a great addition to Ellis as they continue to be all in for every student. Welcome, Melvin.
Thank you. Good evening, President McMorrow, members of the board, and Dr. Smith. Thank you for granting me the privilege to serve as an assistant principal at Ellis Elementary. I am deeply grateful for your trust, as well as the support of my family that are here today, my colleagues who have helped me reach to this point. I'm really excited to get to work supporting our campus, our teachers, and above all, our students, as we work together to make dreams happen. Thank you for this incredible opportunity. I know I don't want to get sentimental, but I will know that if my dad, that he passed 8 months ago, he will be here with me, supporting me, and he will be very proud of me at this moment. Thank you so much.
We are going to, President McMurrow is going to have us recess in just a second to celebrate with everybody, but I wanted to make sure our new assistant principals, we would love you to come up and take a picture with the board as well before you head out too far with everybody else. So I'll turn it back over to you, Ms. McMurrow.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Yes, we will now take a brief recess to celebrate those receiving recognition. I invite trustees and our honorees to join us for photos. Please gather on the right side of the room. Does that sound right, Ms. Northington? Yes. And trustees, let's aim to be back in 15 minutes. The time right now is 7:03 and we are in recess. The time is now 7:17 p.m. and we are now back from recess. Thank you. Up next is our open forum for agenda items. As stated on the posted agenda, members of the public who desire to address the board regarding an item on this agenda are required to register at www.aisd.net/board-meeting-speaker-request. Ms. Acosta, do we have any requesters registered to address the board regarding agenda items tonight?
President McMurrow, we do not.
Thank you, Ms. Acosta. We will now move on to committee and staff reports. Dr. Smith. Oh, sorry. Whoop. We have 3 committee and staff reports, and our first item for tonight is our governance committee report. I'll turn it over to our governance chair, Trustee Haynes.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so we met this past Tuesday, and it was our first meeting back of the new school year, and we discussed several things. We went over the superintendent evaluation tool, and we'll have that ready to share with the rest of our board here soon. We reviewed some policy updates from TASB, and we had preliminary discussion on the timeline for planning our legislative priorities, and we will begin that work at our next meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Haynes. Our next report is from our Finance and Academics Committee, and I'll turn it over to the chair of that committee, Mr. Chapa.
Thank you, President McMurrow. The Finance and Academics Committee met recently, and that's me and Ms. Fowler and Mr. Mike. And we had a couple of topics, pretty interesting meeting. We had a follow-up discussion on the items to include or for further consideration in the 2019 interest earnings on the 2019 bond, which items we'd like to put forward on that. We had an initial review of the schematic design for the new campus to replace South Davis. We also had some preliminary discussions about budget parameters and the intersection of facilities planning going forward and what things we would like staff to consider as they're looking at future facility needs and how it interacts with our budget.
Thank you, Mr. Chapa. And our next report is first day of school report. Dr. Smith.
Dr. Champion is here. Now, I want to point out this was his first report to you all last year, so it's been a year since he's been giving reports to you. But I do want to celebrate Brett and his team and a lot of other teams for a great first day of school. He'll give you some details, and I'll add on at the end.
Great. President McMurrow, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Smith, happy second day of school. We successfully have done 48 hours of school. Per some reports, the best first day ever. And that is in no small part due to a lot of work that happened over the summer and last year to get us ready to go, including registration, where we got more kids registered before the first day of school than ever before. You see that Sam Houston High School line isn't all the way wrapped around anything. Very brief. We had kids at Wimbish ready to go, and those families, those teachers rather, at Ashworth were hopping on the energy bus. Board, thank you so much for making your rounds yesterday, and it was such a joy to see you all at the campuses on the first day of school. Our schools always appreciate seeing you all and doing all the things on the first day of school. Our elementary schools were already jumping into a lot of good learning, whether they were learning about expectations or actually jumping into math manipulatives. They were rolling. Junior high, the same thing, where we had, like, the band was already starting to play. Rodriguez was going over expectations, and we had classroom instruction rolling at junior high. Our high schools are always a pleasure on the first days of school, and that was no exception this year. At all of our high schools, folks were excited to get rolling. We have a couple of quotes from kids. I love this from a high school student. My first day was great. All my teachers have been great. Everybody's been so welcoming. I got lost, but I was able to get help. My first day of 9th grade was way less complicated than I thought it would be. That's wild praise indeed. Junior high quote. This is from a brand new 6th grade junior high student at Gunn Junior High. Junior high is awesome. I like being able to see a different teacher every period. Wild success. This, though, is my favorite. I had a video sent to me from an elementary parent today that was largely just the child making silly noises as she tried to ask what he loved about what he loved most about the first day of school. So we finally got to this. Are you excited to go back? And he said, yeah, which is high praise indeed. So, Board, we are indeed thrilled that our first day was as successful as it was. That is in no small part to a lot of hard work from our classroom teachers who bring a welcoming environment, to the culture that's set right here from the board all the way through this organization. Thank you for our opportunity to get kids in school and get them learning. I'm happy to have any conversation that you'd like to have.
Thank you, Dr. Champion. And thank you, Dr. Champion, Dr. Smith, and everyone on senior staff for inviting us and allowing our board to join you. We were able to divide and conquer, and I think we visited about 20 campuses in one morning. So that was really neat. Any questions or comments from board members regarding the first day of school report? Any discussion?
One thing I'd like to share with our board real briefly is giving Brett, Jennifer, our entire senior staff, and leaders across the district some kudos. One of the things we do is we evaluate everything that we do. We do what we call a plus delta review of everything, even sometimes the simplest meetings. Last year's first day of school, we did that at the end of last year. We said what went well, where do we need to improve, and what ideas do we have for the future? And we built off of that. So when Brett says over the summer planning, we made sure that we revisited that list last year. What did we need to improve? How do we do it? And we went forward with it. And we saw some marked improvement this year from the year before. Yesterday afternoon, while we celebrated a great first day of school, we had the same process again. Evaluated it, said how we can improve it again, how we can make it better for our teachers, our students, and our families, and constantly working to improve. And that's the mindset of continuous improvement that we talk about in our district. And I want to thank our leaders across the district for engaging in that from the principal level on up. We were very deliberate this year about it, and we think it paid off. So thank you, Auster.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. And the only thing that I have to add related to that is there's so much that goes on behind the scenes leading up to the first day of school, thinking about teachers preparing their classrooms and maintenance and operations, safety being tended to before each facility welcomes students, kitchen staff. There is so much prep and cohesion and planning at every campus and at the district level that gets poured into before the first day of school. And every visit that we had the pleasure of joining you all on yesterday, that was so evident. And so I just want to thank you. I want to say thank you to all staff and families because they're part of the preparation too. It's not easy to get those kids up after a long summer that early in the morning. So thank you all for making it a successful first day of school. Thank you, Dr. Champion. And our last report tonight is for the 2026-2027 Draft Key Progress Measures Report. Dr. Smith.
I'm inviting Dr. Collins up to the podium tonight. I'm not sure whether I'm presenting this one or she is. I'll follow her lead, whatever she would like. As you know, we talk about key progress measures with you every year. These are the things, the big actions that we want to take over the course of the year. This is something that we ask to agree on with the board, meaning we do some brainstorming and deliberation before we bring them to you for consideration. Tonight is the brainstorming session where we have some initial ideas out there. So I do ask you to weigh in and give us some ideas tonight so that we can make sure we bring back something that you'll feel comfortable for a recommendation in the future. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Collins to get started.
Perfect. Thank you, President McMurrow, trustees, Dr. Smith. Excited to talk to you about the upcoming school year and the big work that we have in front of us. And as Dr. Smith mentioned, really what we have to share with you tonight is our initial brainstorm. And what we need you to be able to do is to brainstorm along with us and provide us your feedback on some of our ideas and add your ideas to the mix. Just as a reminder, this is our improvement planning graphic. And we look at it, it seems like every time that I'm up here, just as a reminder for what is the big work that we're doing in our system. And you see KPMs down at the very bottom of this improvement planning graphic. It really is the most discrete level of goals that we set in our district. And so as we talk about KPMs, just remember that they're aligned to our district improvement plan and campus improvement plans. They're aligned to our strategic plan, our priorities, our values and beliefs, and our vision. And then just as we were talking about with debriefing those first days of school, it's all wrapped up in continuous improvement. And so that plan, do, study, act model, that PDSA model happening in everything that we do. As a reminder, the district 2 years ago adopted these district priorities, and all of our KPMs are aligned with the priorities, and the organization that you're going to see tonight is aligned with this as well. And then we spent a lot of time talking about this slide last week when we were talking about the 25-26 KPMs. But just as a reminder, we have our priority statements, which are the big, broad statements that are kind of pointing us in a direction. We have those goals, which are like our pictures of success for where we're headed in those priorities. And then the key progress measures are those annual targets that are pointing us in the direction to help us know whether or not we are achieving those goals and those priorities. So this is what our KPMs looked like for 25, 26. Just as a reminder, you've seen this graphic over and over. And so here's where we are now, right? Our priorities are the same, our goals are the same, and what we're trying to do now is to fill in those boxes for key progress measures. We are also intentional as we brainstormed our key progress measures to think about both lead and lag measures. We believe strongly that we need to have lead and lag measures for each of our priorities. Those lead measures let us know along the way, are we making the strides that we should be making? And then those lag measures are in the end. They allow us to check and see how did we do, and we don't want to have only lead or only lag. We believe that for each priority, we should have both. And so you'll see in the brainstormed list that we'll talk about tonight, each one of them are labeled at the end just so that we can be conscious of that. So before I click over to the next slide, I just want to remind you, so what we're going to show you is a brainstormed list. There is too much information, and so one of the things that we need you to help us do is to pare it down and prioritize, but also to add your own thoughts and ideas. Everything that you will see on these slides will be a part of our district improvement plan. So I'm going to say that one more time. Everything that you see on these slides is already a part of the work that we're doing. It will happen in our district improvement plan. But what our KPMs allow us to do is to really highlight the work that you believe is the most important work that you want us to constantly be talking to our community about. It's what we report back out on to you at board meetings, and it's also what Dr. Smith's evaluation is based on, right? Like it is the big work in the district, and so as we move forward, we know that there's way too much. So we're just starting there. All right, so academic growth. These are the KPMs that we have brainstormed for academic growth. I'm going to go through them one by one so that we can stop and have conversations, and then we'll pause on each slide before we move on to the next priority area. So for academic growth, the first idea is to eliminate campus Fs in Arlington ISD. So thinking about accountability and our accountability system to eliminate Fs. Number 2, decrease overall district rating to at least a B for the 26-27 school year. We are getting very, very close to that metric, and so that is one of the goals that has been brainstormed.
Dr. Collins, I think you may have said decrease, and I want to be clear. We want to increase that one.
Where?
Where you just talked about the
increase the overall district rating. Sorry.
Thank you.
Increase, thank you. And then number 3, increase the district percentage of meets grade level in math and reading for all levels. So you'll see with those first 3, the overlap, right? Like one is about math and reading, one is about the district accountability, one is about specific campus accountability. So again, we probably need to pare that down and figure out where the priority is there. Number 4, successfully and comprehensively implement new math and reading curricula as measured by campus walkthrough data. So last year, you know that we had a goal to make sure that we had new curriculum happening, and what we want to do this year is ensure that we have successful implementation and really comprehensive implementation happening for both reading and math. Number 5, develop a learner instructional framework that includes research-based best practices for teaching and learning. So this recommendation comes straight out of our curriculum management audit. It's one of the actions that we will be taking as a district. That learner framework really tells us what is it that we expect to see happening in classrooms every day. What does good teaching and learning look like so that we can get crystal clear about what a science classroom should look like or what a mathematics classroom should look like. So that's the learner instructional framework. Number 6, design and expand innovative signature programs to support diverse learner needs. So thinking about how do we want to expand those signature programs. And then number 7, to establish a district technology advisory committee to develop a comprehensive district technology plan aligned with curriculum audit criteria by May of 2027. So I'll just pause and let you have a little bit of dialogue specifically about academic growth and share your ideas with us and the things that you're thinking about.
Thank you, Dr. Collins. And I do like that invitation because since there are 5 priorities with their own set of KPMs, right. I think that's a great way to organize the discussion. Any trustees with questions or discussion regarding the academic growth KPMs? Ms. Richardson.
Thank you, Dr. Collins. First, could you expound a little bit on item number 7? What does that actually mean?
Yeah, great.
And
Oh,
then
no,
I
maybe
have
I'll
a
phone
comment
friend.
about the first 3, President McMurrow, but if you could explain number 7 first, that
Sure.
would help.
Yeah. Thanks, Kyle.
Absolutely. So we will be putting out with our community to have members come in from teachers, staff, parents, and even students to form an advisory committee to help us come up with 4 key different areas. We have 4 subcommittees, one on digital wellness, where I spoke about working on screen time, what that looks for on us, what we're going to be doing there. Then also we'll have another committee that's going to look on one-to-one development, what that might look like in our classrooms for us to have a different device model. And then another committee will be a subset on responsible use and appropriate use of technology overall. And then our final one is going to be on the artificial intelligence, where we already shared some of our plans around AI. So this is really a group committee that's going to come and shape our overall technology instructional vision on how technology is being implemented in the district with all the tools that we currently have.
District, but which ones we want to focus on.
Yeah.
I think 7 interests me just because our students already, we know that they spend a lot of time on their devices, and we want them to be healthy and safe. But at the same time, I don't want to establish that, and now that means they're not going to have, that we're not going to lessen the time off of devices. And that's not what you're saying at all. Okay.
Can I add one thing, Brooklyn,
Please.
that you just mentioned? So, excuse me, Member Richardson. So when you said on there about we're going to do all of these, so one of the reasons we do key progress measures is to narrow some of these down. These are the ones you're going to hold me as a superintendent accountable for. So these go on my evaluation, the ones that we prioritize. But we can't do everything listed in our strategic plan, in our DIP, all in one time, all at the same pace. So these help us by narrowing these down. It helps us very clearly say, as a board and as a superintendent team, we believe these are the most important things for us to really accomplish this year. And you see a lot of these are really on adult actions, right? We're going to talk about measures at the end of this a little bit, but these are about adult actions because we know from all of your board training that student outcomes don't change until adult behaviors change. And so a lot of this that Kyle was just talking about is very clearly shaping what's our agreed upon use of technology in our system to help our students learn, and how do we make sure we're super clear about that? That's just an example, but that's the why behind these. To your point, yes, all of these are in our district improvement plan, but we know some of these matter more, and that's what we're trying to get to.
When we look at number 5, you mentioned number 5 was put there because of what came out of our curriculum audit. Does that take a higher priority because it did come from that big audit that we put so much weight behind versus the 6 and 7 behind it? In your opinion, Dr. Collins?
So my opinion, I think that it's really important that we do have a learner instructional framework, but I believe that that's work that we're going to do and that we're going to focus on this year anyway. I don't know that, in my opinion, it's one that rises to the tippy top. Like, I think I would rather focus on the successful and comprehensive implementation of reading and math curriculum. And as a part of that, what we're going to have to do is to define what does good math instruction look like and what does good reading instruction look like. And so that work is going to be happening in the background, but I think I'd rather have dialogue about what's happening in our classrooms as opposed to did we make a framework, yes or no. That's my opinion. I don't know if anybody else has other.
So I would be, when you talked about 1, 2, and 3, switching gears, stair-stepping off of one another, and they all are together, I would feel like that we would elevate number 3 as our priority, because if we increase the district percentage of meets grade level in math and reading, which we know we already need to do, that needs to be our priority, then naturally 1 and 2 are going to follow. We will eliminate campus Fs, and then we are going to rise to at least a B, because we do number 3. So I feel like focusing on number 3 should be our priority, because with it, it will bring the success of the first 2.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. Mr. Mike?
Sounds good. I'm speechless. No, that sounds good. I love that train of thought, because I was looking at 1, 2, and 3, and even 4. They play off of each other. I also think that if you do 4, it accomplishes 3. So yeah, I do like the idea of elevating 3 up. But I don't see, normally every year I see these, I'm like, you think we can accomplish this? For this one here, I'm like, we need to accomplish this. These are good measures. 1 through 4 are the ones that stand out to me. Just, those are the ones that really call me.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. Mr. Wilbanks.
Thank you, Ms. McMurrow, President McMurrow. This is a great list, and I'm kind of going through that and thinking, where does, us at the balcony level, at the 30,000-foot level, what do we need to hold tight to? And then what are the actions that fall out of those 1 or 2 or 3 key important things? And I think Brooklyn nailed it when I think 3 is the most important. And from that, that's something we can focus on as a board. And then Matt's management role takes over, and there's a lot of actions that fall out of that to make that happen, like developing a learner instructional framework. It's a heavier lift as someone that was involved with the last attempt to adopt one. And a lot of times districts aren't successful in implementing those. But it's super important. It was called out. But that is a long-term, it takes more than a year to do that lift. So my question to you is, for what you're asking tonight, what is the timeline for these goals? Are they bound for the current year? And then what about those things that we need to do that are 2 or 3 years? And then thinking about our strategic plan, how do we define the destination we're all leading to? Because we've been adopting priorities and KPMs for this year to deal with the immediate needs of the district when Matt came in. Then we've adopted the second round, but how do we get alignment and a coherent roadmap to get to that final destination of our 5-year strategic plan? Where do we want that vision for the district? Where do we want to be in 5 years, and what does that district look like? And what are the KPMs or KPIs that we know we can measure to know that we've arrived? So as we go through, we've got, to me, I'm curious about that more than I am this. But given the need for feedback on this, I think it's our role. We've got to focus. Like, this is a lot. You've got a lot to accomplish. A lot of this is action. And so by definition, that should be Matt's and senior staff's reaction to what we, the board, agree, hey, this is a good 1-year goal to get us to the 5-year goal. And that's why I like what Ms. Richardson said, because I think 3 sets that tone, that you would choose these strategies or actions underneath to achieve that goal. And then I might argue for number 1, because that's paramount. We need to do 2 things. We need to keep increasing that, especially 3rd grade reading and numeracy skills like we had with the HB3 goals, but also be focused on eliminating our D's and F's district-wide, no matter if they're in secondary, no matter middle school, high school, or elementary school. So that's kind of how I look at this. My colleagues may differ, but we've got 5 priorities, and we need to figure out as a board, what is the one metric, KPI, I'm going to use that as a distinction from KPM, that we as a board hold tight to, that we think all of the work should fall from as a superintendent. So that's kind of where I am. But I agree, I applaud all of this, and it's going to take a lot of planning and strategy and lining it up to achieve this. But it's all critical work. So
Thank you, Mr. Wilbanks. Ms. Haynes?
Thank you. Is there, and I don't remember if you've said this or if I should know this as a trustee, but is there a sweet spot of how many lead versus lag measures we should have in these?
So last year and the year before, we had 2 or 3 KPMs underneath each priority, and then each priority had at least 1 lag and at least 1 lead is kind of what we would be shooting for, I would say.
Okay, and what is, I looked at, our past list, and I think 3 was the most under. Is that what we're shooting for? Same for 3 to be ish?
Yeah, that'd be the most that you would want. You, again, with 5 priorities, you want to narrow it down as much as possible. That helps us with resource planning, and this is, again, where we all coalesce around, hey, these are the big actions we're going to take this year to help us strive forward toward that goal you've all set. So the more we can be clear about what those are, the better it is for all of us to report out on.
Got it. Okay, well then just weighing in on the ones that jump out at me. 4 jumps out at me based on recent board action we took on curriculum in the district. I think that this, we took a vote and we said that we were going to govern and have oversight into implementation, and I think that this helps us fulfill that role. And I do think 1, 2, and 3 come from 4, so I support 4. And then 7, I'm very intrigued with the idea of really diving into how technology supports our classroom experience for our students and how it hinders it in ways, and how we can enhance that partnership between technology and the classroom.
Thank you, Ms. Haynes. Ms. Richardson?
I wanted to speak again to talk about number 7 because, like Trustee Haynes, I feel like we've not truly, at least since I've been on the board, had a true focus on technology. And with you coming on board and your expertise, I think this is the right time for us to look at it, especially with AI coming on board. I want to find out how technology is going to support our classrooms, not take away from our classrooms. As a parent who has 2 kids in the district, I want to know that my kids are writing and doing things hands-on as much as they're using screens. And I don't think right now that is the case in some of our situations. And so I would like to dig into it and for it to be a focus when you're talking about reporting back to us. I understand you're going to be doing these committees anyway, but this allows us to truly say, we hear those parents when they say, technology is not going to be at the forefront of everything. Screens are not going to do everything for us. And if we make that a priority as a board, we are more aligned to keep that on the forefront. Number 1, eliminate campus Fs. Obviously, I would like a job. I don't want a takeover to happen. And we know if we get Fs, a takeover happens, we can be replaced. A little bit of that is a duh for me. Like, yeah, we got that. So I don't prefer for you to come and stand every quarter and report about how we're not going to be an F. How we're not going to be an F is we've said our math and literacy scores have to come up. I more want to be focused on what are you doing, because we don't get to get in the weeds with you. We don't get to tell you how to get there. So I want to have those current, just constantly coming updates of what are you doing? Where are we? We have schools that are right there on that borderline that we have to keep our eye on. That's what I want to know, because once those are fixed, we automatically have the Fs are going to go away. I'm not concerned about our district rating in the least, because I think it comes with everything else. And I know that our district is so much more than that rating. Our experience, and we've shown that already, just on the first day of school, having kids come in and share their experiences, what we experienced at Convocation, our students sharing those experiences, you can look at a rating all day long, but once you listen to those kids talk, that's the experience I want my kids to have, not necessarily a letter grade. But I think 3 and 4 together, but 7, I would like to consider making technology a focus with our academic growth.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. Mr. Mike?
We haven't talked about 6 that much. When we say that we're looking to support diverse learner needs, are we the diversity aspect, are we talking about children behind, above, below, like the entire spectrum of students?
I do think that it's thinking about all students, and as we consider what our needs are regarding facilities usage for the future, and what is the best way for us to be able to meet the needs of kids, I think we're talking about the 18+ programming that we're going to be able to design and develop and expand. But I think we're also thinking about, what are some other signature programs similar to our Fine Arts Dual Language Academies that are unique to Arlington ISD that would help our students grow and do things that they don't get to do in other places.
That makes it more difficult now, because, like, all of us, we go and we look around the district and we see different schools that have these great programs. And every time I go to one, in my mind, I'm saying every single junior high should have this. Every elementary should have this. So yeah, it's just difficult right now.
And the work is
this
happening,
good
right?
stuff,
I mean,
yeah.
that's the good thing, is this is the work for this
The other
year.
thing I'll say is now you know some of the challenges we have, because we also know we can't do everything. But when we talk about the challenge that public schools are facing across the state of Texas right now too, with the expansion of choice, this is one of those things that we have to think about. How do you have programs where families are saying, I want to send my student there and not look somewhere else for that? So I think, again, to Jennifer's point, we're going to be looking at all of these. It's just a matter of which ones we really want to hone in on and ensure happen over the course of the year.
And so then with that in mind, my thought is there should be one that deals with increasing our scores and our rating. There should be one that also focuses on this diverse learning aspect to attract parents and their children to come to the district. And then, of course, one that looks at the technology use. So, at least for me, that is a good combination.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. Any other trustees with discussion or questions or suggestions for academic growth? I had a couple thoughts, Dr. Collins. So I agree with what's already been said by several of my colleagues. All of these are wonderful. If I'm really thinking about the vision, the overall vision that we want for our school district, we want to create exceptional learning experiences to inspire all students, empower their dreams, prepare them for the future. I really keep coming back to number one, because yes, our state's accountability system is real, and thank you, Ms. Richardson, for bringing up that reality. But I like number one because it would ensure that every campus, we have a goal that no campus should be a failing school. So all really does mean all if we have that expectation. And even if we brought up our average to this, or we made sure that all walkthroughs had that, we would have a goal that every campus should be above an F. I favor number one because of that. I think that that's a really good safeguard for the experiences we want for kids, no matter where they attend school. I have other thoughts, but I don't think there's a bad KPI or KPM on here. I really favor the idea of number one because all of our campuses are unique, and the pathway to avoid this looks different at each of our campuses, especially with how complex the formula is for a school rating. Growth might have gotten one school in trouble, while closing the gaps might have stopped another school from growing. And so if we have a goal to eliminate campus Fs in Arlington ISD, I think not only is that a safeguard to make sure that all children come to a school that's not failing, but it also honors the differentiated approach that we have for all of our campuses. I'm a little bit nervous about number three. I think it's a great KPM. I'd be very happy with it. Given that the assessment is changing, and given that the cut scores between approaches meets masters makes meets really thin, I am a little nervous about number three, given that we don't know what's ahead of us for the state assessment. I think that would be a real roll of the dice to lock us in there, especially with new testing frequency next year, starting with beginning, middle, end of year. I don't know if there's any more context you guys want to add. I would favor number 3. There's just a lot of unknowns there since our state assessment.
This year.
This year, okay, thank you for clarifying. But then again, that makes me think, how would that carry over next year when all of the assessments change? So anyway, I favor all of these. I think my number one favorite is number 1, because I do think it would be a great commitment and a great thing to aim for to ensure that no child attends a failing campus. Mr. Wilbanks.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what you said. I think 1 and 3, 1 doesn't provide the kind of coverage that we need by itself, nor does 3, but the 2 together do. 1, I mean, the critical thing that we need to make sure is that kids are reading at grade level by grade 3, and their numeracy skills foundations are set at grade 4, and they're ready for algebra, hopefully early. So I hear you on the unpredictability of the state assessment system going forward, but I'm sure we could come up with a reliable measure there, that because that's the key thing we need to know. Are our kids learning at those critical junctures what they need to learn? And so that's why I'm a little hesitant in just choosing one or the other, and they're both lag measures. But I don't know, Dr. Smith, is it relevant here to talk about the difference between process measures, which I feel you and staff own, and progress measures, which fall more are useful for a board in terms of governance?
Yeah, I was going to wait until the end, but I'm going to skip ahead real quickly and talk. I think we're at an important juncture in our system right now. So just a reminder for everyone, we leaned into key progress measures as real actions, transformational actions a couple of years ago because of what I said earlier. We want to talk about changing behaviors in our system, and adult behavior specifically. So that's why we leaned into those the way we did. But there are performance indicators, measures, data that I think you all want on a regular basis too. Now, here's the thing that I've said to all of you at different times. We can't measure everything all the time, right? So we've got to narrow that in. And I think what I'd like to propose to you this year is that we're going to lean into the progress measures being real actions that we're taking, transformational actions that we're taking as a system. And then I'm going to ask y'all to maybe identify what performance indicators you want us to monitor over a few years to say we're increasing in reading and math. And to identify that so we can keep those consistent over a few years. And think about it like this: at the end of the year, we look at a chart that says, are things green or neutral or red? And are we going in the right direction on these specific areas? I think it's time for us to be able to identify those very specifically because we want some consistency to happen. So I'll use your example, Sarah. Yes, we know STAR's changing, and I can't predict what that's going to be. I do know early literacy and numeracy matters in our system too, and we have assessments in our system right now that we could lean into this discussion for and use those assessments for some of those targets over a number of years. So I think as we get to the end of this, I'll elaborate more about performance indicators, but I ask you to think about the data that you want for all of this, because I hear Ms. Richardson say, you know, we want to hear in the weeds sometimes about what y'all are doing. That's really about the progress measures, the actions we're taking, what are we doing to make this happen? But there's data that we need to be monitoring over the course of a number of years that are directly aligned with the priorities that you have. And we've got to be able to very clearly start to articulate that and monitor that on a regular basis. So we put this last slide in to open that up. And my proposal would be that we bring you back some of those targets, those data targets, as well at the next meeting for consideration.
Thank you for that, Dr. Smith. That really fills in the puzzle nicely. You know, we've been focused on the 1 year short term We've defined our vision of where we want to be, but creating those targets so that we know we're going to be, know when we get to where we want to be, I think is vitally important for this board.
You know, can I use this example real quickly? So why I bring this up and why, Mr. Wilbanks, I think it was important that we interjected here. If I take a look at number 3 in my mind, I could shift that to a performance indicator that we monitor for a number of years on a regular basis, right? That's important to all of you. I know it is. You talk to me about it often. So we're going to do that, and we're going to make sure we're monitoring that. But that right there, that lag measure does not change the actions that we need to change in the system. I still need us to be able to very clearly say, number 4, we absolutely need to articulate and successfully implement the new math and reading curriculum in our system and monitor that. That's what we have to do in order to get there. Those are the actions that we need to take. So I think we're still going to be looking for those annual targets to help us clarify these actions that we're all on the same page on. But those measures, or the performance indicators we'll call them, those can stay consistent over a number of years so we can see growth over a number of years in our data.
Yeah, and I brought up progress versus process, because that's a process measure, number 4. And I think it's vitally important that we check for fidelity when we implement a new curriculum, because it's something we've never really done, or even if we tried, didn't do well as a district. And those are the things that I want to see. Yeah, your staff is doing that. Like, as long as you can report out to me when I need to, Sarah's favorite takeaway from her new school board training at CRSS was knowing when, as a board member, we've got our KPIs that we're looking at long term, but when one of them turns red, that's when we elbows out and nose in, and then we get to ask you about, well, how well are we measuring fidelity of this new curriculum, and what's it showing? And so all that to say, for me personally, I'm going to look for those things that are going to align to those long-term KPIs that we know as a board we're going to reach our destination. And then I'm going to defer to you heavily on those process measures that we need to do, in those actions that we need to do to get there year to year.
Thank you. Ms. Haynes.
Yes, thank you. So while President McMurrow was speaking, I was looking back at this past year's KPMs that you had in our presentation, and I noticed that 1 is very similar to 3 under culture, and so I'm curious why 1 is not an option to be, or wasn't presented as an option under culture in what you're about to talk about. So if you want to talk about that now or during culture, I'm just kind of curious.
Sure. So I'll just read what it says currently under culture: to reduce the number of campuses having a D or F rating in the state accountability ratings by 50% or more by August of 2026. So that was one of our KPMs for this past year. We listed it under culture for a couple of different reasons. We believe that we were trying to change the perception of Arlington ISD. And so we were just kind of trying to think through that culture process. But as we were doing the work this year, the work that it takes to make the movement really is academic work for the primarily. And so just as we had continued discussions this year about what are the KPMs we want to propose, that's why that one shifted up to academic growth. But, of course, it can go in either direction, I would say.
It made me think of it when President McMurrow was speaking about all kids and the experience that all kids deserve, that really did fall under that culture piece, but I understand it being under academic also.
Thank you, Ms. Haynes. Ms. Fowler.
Yes, if we could go back to there we go. So for me, number 4 is the most important, because I feel like if we don't implement, then there's nothing to really gauge the percentage, and then we can't get to the B, and then hopefully we won't have the F. So I think we have to do number 4, and if we do number 4 correctly, then number 3 will happen, which will lead to number 2, which will hopefully lead to number 1. So for me, the implementing of the new and making sure it's comprehensively and successful. To say that it's successful, what measurements are we going to use? Is there like a cutoff point, or is it 70 and above? What is it that we're going to say is successful?
So it really is about the walkthrough data. And so our OSL leaders have been working together already with principals to define exactly what it is that we're going to be looking through when we walk through classrooms. We already have the data forms ready to go to capture that electronic data so that when we start our walkthroughs, there's no doubt about what should be happening in classrooms. And so there will be some scaffolding that happens through the course of the year. The math curriculum is new, but we're going to be very intentional with the data that we collect, and it is very aligned with what the authors of these curriculum say are the most important things in the classroom, as well as what the state of Texas guides us to.
Very good. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Ms. Fowler. Mr. Mike.
Hey, this is it. I'm done. I know, because we're talking about academic growth. So the more I hear my colleagues talk, 4, 6, and 7 are the ones that really stick out to me.
You changed again.
Yeah, I changed again, yes. But these, you can measure these, and when we look at and we talk about alignment throughout the district, and we talk about adult behaviors, 4, 6, and 7 to me really stick out. 4 sticks out. 6 with the type of programs, but even 7 when we look at the technology. I mean, I really would love to see the impact of technology on our young learners and how much they are using and whether or not that's impacting the learning that we're having in the district and the scores that we see. So, yeah, 4, 6, and 7, yeah, final answer.
Answer.
Stamp it.
Oh my gosh, I was waiting for someone to do that. As soon as you said 6 and 7, I was waiting. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mike. And I was just leaning over to Dr. Smith, and when you were talking, another trustee who actually was talking about number 4, I understand, and we even adopted AE Local that aligns with, we need to make sure the implementation is there. My reservation about caching most of our chips on number 4 is that this lead measure is still compliance driven. And I could come into a classroom and see, okay, this is being used, I'm checking that box. And so, Dr. Smith, can you kind of give us some more information about what that would look like without it just being a box to check yes or no, because it seems very risky and maybe not directly connecting to all, no Fs would exist and our rating would always be a B or higher.
Yeah. I think there's 2 things that I would bring up with that when we're talking about the walkthrough data and what you would look for in classroom visits. The checkbox is one thing, and I think we leaned into that this year because we wanted to be able to say, are high-quality instructional materials being used in our classrooms, and can we see that? And the answer to that is yes. But what we wrestled with is the ability to actually, I shouldn't say the ability, but the discussion about, but are we doing it at a high level? Because ultimately, what we want out of those instructional materials is critical thinking for our kids in the classroom, right? We want them at grade level, talking about using academic vocabulary, actually debating things and showing that they can make the grade level work happen in the classroom. We want the students doing the work, not just having materials in front of them. And so I do think with our walkthrough tool, we'd be able to actually better assess that this year. One, not just are they being used, but are they being used at the appropriate level and in the highest levels to promote high-level thinking in the best intellectual work for our kids. And I think we can easily get there with that. The second part that I think that we could challenge ourselves to is we could probably even think about how we measure some teacher perception in this too. We know that teachers are implementing new curricula and all of this. And one of the things that I know is it's hard for some people, right? But if we can work on having a systematic way to get some teacher feedback on how we're supporting them with implementation, not whether or not they like the material or don't like the material or things like that, but how they're being supported, I think that could help us as well. Because if we can show that over time we're supporting teachers in this transition in the classroom and we're seeing the use these materials at a high level in the classroom that should help us in the long term. So my point is we can probably play with how we measure some of that and how we would show you evidence of that before we bring it back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. I think teacher voice, especially in something that they know that they're going to, have to deliver on if this is adopted, I think that that's really important. And I mean, if we're using the new math and reading curricula, that is the content, right? But that would be a good way to make sure that the cognitive and the context are also coming into play. Because I could have all the materials out, but if my lesson's falling flat, if the delivery of instruction is not aligned to the materials in front of my students, we're not going to create those good learning experiences. And I think that would be a really good approach to that. Any other trustees with questions regarding the academic growth priority? Okay, thank you, Dr. Collins, and we're ready for priority 2.
All right, priority 2, are you ready? All right, so our brainstormed KPMs for culture include increasing our Net Promoter Score from 25 to 26 on the annual staff survey by June 2027. So essentially our staff saying that this is a great place to work. And then increase our student experience and well-being index from 2.8 to 2.9 on our 4-point scale on the student survey by June 2027. And so that student experience and well-being index is a score that allows us to see, are our students saying that this is a great place to learn, that they're excited about being in school, and what is their overall student experience. Number 3, 100% of district departments will participate in PDSA, Plan, Do, Study, Act, continuous improvement, driven continuous improvement to advance the district vision and to support culture. So thinking about the culture definition up at the top, that measure of success, that we want to establish an inclusive culture of respect, support, and continuous improvement for all students, staff, and families. It's just trying to fit in what does that look like in our system for continuous improvement. And then number 4, to implement a recurring way to gather teacher feedback on district curriculum and professional learning for curricular implementation. So President McMurrow, this goes to exactly what you were just talking about, and you'll see that we embedded that here under the culture goal, but it's very tied to academics as well. Enjoy your conversation.
Thank you, Dr. Collins. Any trustees with questions or suggestions about the KPMs for the culture priority? Ms. Richardson.
More detail.
Sure. So PDSA is a cycle, right? It's the circle that we have around our whole improvement process here in Arlington ISD. And so what we really want our departments to be intentional about is to be reflective of the work that's happening and that they are having continuous improvement processes throughout the course of the year. Sometimes it's a big process. We're going to reimagine something big and we're going to take a whole year to plan and do and study and act. But sometimes it's a bunch of little mini cycles. So that's similar to what we talked about with the first day of school. We came together and we had a conversation about what went well, what is it that did not go as well as we hoped that it would, and what is it that we need to do to fix things either for the next day or for the first day the following year, right? Those are PDSA cycles. And so just trying to get that habit of plan, do, study, act going, that all of our departments are participating in that kind of continuous improvement.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. Ms. Haynes.
So I don't dislike any of these. I like them all. I love number 2, anything that is going to measure the student experience and hold our district accountable to always working to increase that. That's always going to be a top priority for me. So I love number 2. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Haynes. Any other trustees with questions or thoughts regarding the culture KPMs? Ms. Fowler.
Thank you. On number 4, we do a lot of surveys, but I'd like to see something different than a survey, because it's just so flat. And so I don't know what that would look like, maybe interviewing or talking with or discussion groups, but I would like to gather teacher feedback other than just that survey. So maybe we could think about ways to do that.
Yeah, you're on the same page with exactly what we're thinking. We're thinking about listening sessions taking place in lots of different kinds of groups. So maybe we're bringing together second grade teachers to talk to us about their experience. Maybe we're talking specifically to all of the math teachers on a particular campus. Maybe we're getting together with high school departments to have conversations, but it's about listening sessions and being really intentional with the questions that we're asking so that we get the feedback that we need in order to continuously improve.
I love that because, like I said, the surveys are just flat. Yes or no.
That's
how
right.
did you feel? But I would like to see something different to gather that, and I love the listening idea.
Well, and what you said about surveys are also typically towards the end of the year, and so they turn into a lag measure, that there's not a lot of time to change things for what has happened. And we believe that, we could start having conversations with teachers in the next few weeks and improve things for them regarding, in upcoming professional development sessions or the support that's being provided in their professional learning communities. Yeah.
And I love the, the discussion and the listening, but also, some of our teachers, maybe some of our newer teachers, maybe won't feel comfortable expressing vocally. So maybe we could also have something written where they could jot down some ideas or some thoughts where maybe they wouldn't feel as comfortable saying it out loud. So maybe we could do a two-prong approach.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fowler. I like number 4 a lot. I like what you added, Dr. Collins, and I see it very much related to priority number 1. I think that if we had that space for teachers to share feedback in that way, and especially if it was recurring and it was a system that we had in place, I see that really having potential to improve academic growth, because as we improve the quality of professional learning, written curriculum, and that's ever evolving, I think that academic outcomes would follow. So I echo what you said about number 4, Ms. Fowler. There's only one more thing I wanted to mention about culture. I really want to commend our board for not just elevating culture when we originally did this 2 years ago as a priority, but and thanks to Dr. Smith and staff, we have access to the dashboard that shows us individual campuses and departments and how they are rated on the annual staff survey. And when this very first became a priority and we started looking at that dashboard, we had a discussion quite a while back about how some of us mentioned we wish there was a way that there could be a KPM or an expectation where perhaps the lowest rated area, maybe it's not even a school, maybe it is a school, maybe it's a department, we could tend to that school or those departments and set goals around that, because improving an average is excellent and that is always something that would be a great goal. But again, if we're saying all students deserve this learning experience, and if we're saying all staff deserve to come to work every day and be safe, psychological safety is important, then we would need to really keep an eye on the lowest net promoter scores by that campus or by that department. I don't quite know how that would look, but I think that would be something that would really tend to each and every. Dr. Smith?
I think what we could do, and Dr. Champion and our executive directors in the OSL department already do this, but we could also just give you some updates along the way. I don't know that would rise to a board level KPM, but we're already working on that with the campuses that have some of that data that we're concerned about, and that's written into improvement plans and discussed with the principal coaches. So we could probably just make sure on a more regular basis that we present out to you some strategies that we're working on with some campuses over the course of the year, not target them individually in a goal like that, but to be able to share with you all on a more frequent basis the work that's happening. Because I can assure you, we look at that and we agree with you wholeheartedly. We don't want that to continue. At the same time, I don't know that would be a board level KPM that we would report out on all of that.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. And I also know that everyone's net promoter score is shared with that principal or that supervisor, and that's something that they get on an annual basis, and they can measure their success longitudinally. Thank you. Any other trustees with questions or discussion regarding the culture priority? All right, we're ready for the next one.
All right. Safety and discipline. So our first brainstormed idea is to increase the procedural effectiveness score on the staff survey working conditions from 4.0 to 4.1 on a 5-point scale. So this is very similar to a goal that we have had previously. The procedural effectiveness score is a combination of 4 items that come together to make up this procedural effectiveness score. Number 2 is to create and implement a student wellness and behavior continuum to address social and emotional needs of students. So we have a team that's been working together on a framework for social and emotional wellness. And so working together to establish a continuum not only for our students, but for our staff as well. And then to conduct a privacy and data compliance audit of all district software by May of 2027. So this is our brainstorm list.
Thank you, Dr. Collins. Any trustees with questions or discussion regarding safety and discipline?
So I want to bring this one up real quickly because we had a whole workshop on it with Michael Hill in the spring. This is the one it's tricky for us because we very clearly have articulated that we want to improve safety and discipline in our system. And we've shown data over a number of years that it's improving in our system, and yet we get but it's not improving anecdotal conversations that happen in the community on a regular basis. So the best measure that we came out of that workshop with is the one that we've been measuring, and it's the teacher perception, and that's what the staff perception, increase the procedural effectiveness score on the staff survey in those working conditions. So I just want to make sure that we're all good continuing to measure our progress in safety and discipline with that measure, despite the fact that sometimes we all get stopped, myself included, out in the community saying, well, discipline's out of control. We absolutely can listen to whatever's happening, make sure we take it back, talk with the administrators, address anything that needs to be addressed. But when we look at the system level data, what we see is improvement over the course of a number of years. And as long as you're good with continuing to measure it that way, we are as well. But this is a tricky one for you all. I know you get hit up with these topics, and I do as well. So just want to make sure we're all on the same page that this is what we're trying to say we're improving again in safety and discipline.
Thank you for that context. Any trustees with questions or discussion? Okay. I like the safety and I like the safety and discipline KPMs as presented. I'll just throw that out there. I don't know if anyone else wanted to speak to this before we move on to the next priority. Mr. Wilbanks?
A brief question on this topic. Did y'all look at doing a KPM around like our behavioral frameworks like PBIS and how well we're implementing that with fidelity at level 2? I don't know. Yeah, that's the only one I think would be missing.
Thanks, Ms. Wilbanks. That's a good question. And I think that is embedded in number 2 in that continuum. We didn't want to really focus only on PBIS because that has its own connotation, but we're looking at the continuum of implementing that process throughout the year, which started with administrators training in July, then them taking it to teachers before school started this year. So it's a continuum of all of it.
Thank you, Dr. Young.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mr. Wilbanks. Ms. Richardson?
Because you are asking for feedback, I want to point out on number 2, that is where I feel more passionate about, just creating and implementing a student wellness and behavior continuum to address those needs of our students. I think that is something that makes for a well-rounded student all the way, and when you're looking at the total student. But I also liked is what you said, though, this is also for staff as well. And I think when we take care of our staff and our students as a whole, we will have a better product at the end of the day, not only in what you will see with their data and their grades, but also what goes out into the world. So I personally am partial to 1 and 2.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. And Dr. Collins, I think we can keep going. I don't see any other buttons.
Great. Okay, so marketing and engagement. Number one, to increase the net promoter score from 45 to 46 on the annual parent family survey. So parents saying, yes, you should come to Arlington. And then number two, to use stakeholder feedback to rebrand the district and initiate phased campus rebrands aligned with the vision and strategic plan by March of 2027.
Thank you, Dr. Collins. Any trustees with questions or suggestions for the marketing and engagement priority KPMs? I don't see any yet, Dr. Collins, but I did have a question. It seems as though, I mean, number one seems, give me context if I'm missing any. Number one seems to me, upon first read, a little bit more related to engagement. And number two seems a little bit more related to marketing. I know also that Mr. Perales and his team have been really intentional about training our campus teams and different teams around the district with what they call, I think, customer service. So I don't know if that would be that would fall in line with this, but Ms. Northington, would you mind giving us some information around that work?
Absolutely. Customer service training has been at the top and continues to be something that is offered. Aaron and his team, he's actually meeting tomorrow to work with Ginger and be on the PL, so the Professional Learning Day calendar and committee. So that's embedded within the year. It's something that we've talked a lot about this year with Dr. Smith and how we want people to know that we are serving the community. So I think that's already work, as Jennifer mentioned, that's ongoing. And that is part of what our DIP as far as a district.
That's really exciting. And even if that's not elevated to this, I just want to commend you all for doing that, because I absolutely think that that will help engage our families, because starting on day one yesterday, first day of school, I noticed that families were welcomed into the campus, and I did not see one spot where there was just a big line bottlenecking. I mean, we were going through the required safety protocols, visitor check-ins and all that, but I think that that's really going to work wonders with making sure our families are truly welcomed and engaged at their child's campus. Any other trustees with questions or discussion regarding marketing and engagement? Okay, thank you, Ms. Norrington. Dr. Collins, I think we're ready for the next one.
All right, finally, number 5, talent and resources. So number 1, to reduce the general fund budget deficit by 50% by June 24th, 2027, while maintaining the general fund operating fund balance threshold at 25%. So I want to explain that 50% for a minute. So originally, our KPM last year was to cut our budget deficit by a third. So we have 66% left over theoretically, right? And so now what we need to do is cut that remaining 66% in half in order to be able to then cut the rest of the deficit the final year. So that's why it's 50%. Number 2 is to implement a district healthcare clinic model to support greater employee access to care by January 31st, 2027, and impact long-term benefit costs to help support fiscal stability. And then number 3 is to develop a comprehensive long-range facilities plan aligned with demographic trends and funding resources to optimize facility usage by December 31st, 2026. So big work.
Thank you, Dr. Collins. Trustees with questions or discussion regarding talent and resources. Ms. Fowler.
Thank you. I love number 2. To have a district healthcare clinic, I think, would be incredible. And I think that would help our deductibles. I think that would help the overall amount that we pay probably go down. But knowing that we would have a dedicated healthcare clinic for our employees, I think that's wonderful. I would look forward to seeing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fowler. Any other trustees with questions or discussion regarding talent resources? Mr. Mike.
Yes, all 3 of these I agree with. Two is one that will really help our employees here in the district. 1 and 3, 3 will also help 1. But 1 and 3 are some hard discussions that we're going to have. So I would like to see something regarding communications with 1 and 3, because these are hard discussions and they're going to affect a vast majority of our community, just to get ahead of anyone else telling the story before us. Because yes, those are going to be some hard discussions. So, but all 3 are good.
Would you see that in the culture section, or would you see it in talent and resources? Are you trying to protect the culture?
Not so much as culture, just as much as, because, you know, a lot of times when we discuss things on this dais and we talk about everything that we're doing, it's on YouTube, it's all recorded. A lot of people don't watch these meetings.
Why?
And I know, who doesn't want to see us for hours discussing this very intriguing information. So yeah, a lot of people don't watch it. And so, I don't know, my mind is just thinking to get ahead of...
Communicate.
Yeah, we get it to the community. Here's what we are doing, and here is why we're doing it. Right, and here's how we're doing it. Because if we don't tell that story, then someone somewhere on social media will say whatever they think, and then that theory just takes hold and just runs rampant, and we're being reactive after that. So I don't know where it goes.
Yep.
All I know is communication and all of that comes together, and we're able to push it out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. And I do see that related to engagement, because that's going to take engaging the community and stakeholders around this long-range plan. So,
and what we could do is we could develop a key progress measure maybe around that in marketing and engagement, about engaging the community in these discussions, because to your point, it's super important for us to be not only have one-way communication, but some two-way communication as well. And so we could probably lean into that in the marketing and engagement section and have them work together with you.
thank you, Mr. Mike and Dr. Smith. Ms. Richardson.
I'm looking at number 3 especially. Mr. Mike, what you were talking about is making sure we have our communication. I think that goes with marketing engagement. But number 3, I know we have all been getting the different emails wanting to know specifically around 6th grade. What are we going to do? When are we going to do it? How are we going to do it? And we truly do not have that information to give right now. And so I like that we've set a date of, we are going to develop some comprehensive plans by December 31st, 2026. So by the end of this year. But if along the way we are having constant communication, even if tomorrow we put out something that said, we do not know, but here are the 3 or 4 things we are doing to know. We are working with the demographer so we don't make a knee-jerk reaction. We are doing this so we don't rush to make a decision next month. And we let people know the steps that are going into it, because sometimes I think our silence can be taken as we are ignoring you or we don't know. We do know, but we're working towards an answer, and that answer could be complicated. But I really like number 3. I think that is one that we need. It is one that will help us get to number 1, but we have to be open and transparent with our community as we go through that, and more than just sitting here for 4 hours talking.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. I don't see any other buttons, but the only other thing I was going to add to the discussion about talent resources, number 1 is going to be very difficult. It's going to be something that our district has not faced, and I just want to take the opportunity to say we are heading into a legislative session, and so we do not want to continue to have to reduce our fund budget by this percentage so quickly, so drastically, and we do not favor the decisions ahead. We have no other choice but to have these types of budget gaps to close. And so it's not favorable, and it's going to be a big challenge, but right now I see it as our responsibility. So number 1 is going to be a challenge. It's been said, and I liked some of my colleagues' comments about how number 3 will support number 1. And thank you, Dr. Smith, and thank you for all trustees who have emphasized the importance of engaging our community and all of our stakeholders in making those long-range plans. I love to see a date. I really love to see a date because this really helps us kind of put it all in perspective as far as, like you mentioned, Ms. Richardson, the timeline. What do we know? And when we do know something, we can share it. So that's a really good date to set. And I think it's exciting to see that being named here under Talent Resources. Any other questions or discussion? All right, let's move on to KPMs versus KPIs.
So trustees, I think what we'll do is, I think we'll re-listen to priority one because that was such a robust discussion. But we're going to take your input on all of these. We'll come back to you with some ideas about key progress measures and a proposal to separate out some key performance indicators, which might be the data that goes with it, so that we can have hopefully land the plane on this pretty soon. But we have some ideas thanks to your feedback tonight, so thank you for engaging in that discussion.
Any further discussion?
Thank you,
Okay,
Dr. Collins.
thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. And thank you all. That was a really great discussion. All right. At this time, we will now move on to our action items for the evening. And we have 3 items up for consideration. Our first action item is to consider approval of an endorsement of candidates for the Texas Association of School Boards, TASB, Board of Directors. Are there any trustees with questions or discussion? Ms. Richardson.
If we're ready for a motion. Okay. I move that the board endorse Justin Chapa, Arlington ISD, for Region 11, Position C of the Texas Association of School Board, TASB, Board of Directors.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson, for the motion, and we have a second from Mr. Wilbanks. I have a motion right now to endorse our colleague, Mr. Justin Chapa. Mr. Chapa, would you like to make any remarks?
Not really, but again, I thank y'all for putting this out there. Y'all nominated me a few months ago, and so following up with an endorsement is an unnecessary step, but I'm grateful that you're willing to consider it, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chapa. We do have a motion from Ms. Richardson, a second from Mr. Wilbanks. Do we have any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, trustees, please move to vote. The motion passes. Thank you, trustees. All right, now moving on to our second action item of the evening, consider approval for the designation of official delegates to the Texas Association of School Boards, TASB 2026 Delegate Assembly. Did you want to?
No, you go right ahead.
Sorry, Mr. Chapa.
I was just going to make a motion if you were.
Go ahead. Can you also, since you are making a motion, can you elaborate a little bit on what Delegates Assembly is and what our board's plans are for Tex EdCon?
There you go.
I'm just putting you on the spot left and right
Thanks
tonight.
for throwing me on the spot like that. So the Texas Association of School Boards is an organization that provides a lot of services to school districts across the state and is really sort of a voice of school boards in public school advocacy in a lot of ways. Every district in the state historically has been a member. There's now one that's not. We don't have to go into why not, dealing with the environment that's going on. But essentially every district in the state, there's 1,023 of them now that are members of TASB. Every single one of them has a vote in how TASB is run. And the way that the voice of school districts across the state get heard is at the Delegate Assembly. So every year there's the main state convention where we go and get training, but also meet to network with other trustees and learn a lot of things, is the Tex EdCon convention, which this year is in October, and Delegate Assembly is held at Tex EdCon. And so every district in the state who wants to send a delegate, regardless of size, you get one delegate and alternate, and that's where the decisions are made on how to run this organization. And so historically, Arlington has been very involved in Delegate Assembly. Several of us have served as delegates and alternates, and I did before I got on the TASB board in 2020. And so it's a great chance to participate in decision-making at a state level as a school board. And so with that in mind, I'd like to move to this year designate our delegate as Leanne Haynes and our alternate is Brooklyn Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Chapa. Is there a second? Thank you, Trustee Mike, for the second. Is there any further discussion surrounding the motion to select Vice President Haynes as our delegate and Secretary Richardson as our alternate? Seeing none, trustees, please move to vote. The motion passes. Thank you, trustees. All right. We will now move to action item C, considering the approval of the 2026 to 2030 strategic plan. Dr. Smith.
Trustees, I don't know what else to say. Dr. Collins is coming up, but you've had the draft. We've talked about it for 2 years, and we're here. So I'm excited to bring you a final recommendation this evening.
I just want to reiterate the work that has happened over the last year and a half to get here, and it all is because of your leadership. So think about how priorities weren't a thing in Arlington ISD 2 years ago as you think about the district priorities and what we have right now. Think about the work that happened on this vision statement. We can all remember being upstairs on the 4th floor, working on the vision statement for many, many meetings and, thinking about what the most important things were for this district. We can think about the values and beliefs and the work that happened about a year ago with values and beliefs in the system. And then think about what it is that we want to accomplish with our priorities over the next 5 years. It just is a big deal, and I think that there's a lot to celebrate, and I'm excited and thankful for the work of this team, and it's where we are right now. So I'm not even going to show slides. I'm just going to say, here's where we are, and we are seeking approval tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Collins, and I think everyone got a physical copy of the strategic plan pamphlet. I see y'all reviewing those right now. Any questions or discussion? Mr. Wilbanks.
I'd just like to move final approval of our strategic plan as presented in this document.
Thank you, Mr. Wilbanks. Is there a second? Thank you. Second from Ms. Fowler. Any further discussion? Thank you, Ms. Haynes.
Am I good? Okay, sorry, she was still pushing there. So I just wanted to say, one, I'm sorry that no feedback was given last time. I think we all looked at it. I think our initial thought was that we liked it and we were impressed with it, and so I did not give feedback, and so I apologize for that. I want the marketing team to know that I think it was very well executed, and that I'm excited about this document, and I'm looking forward to sharing it in the community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Haynes. Mr. Mike.
Now we're making comments. Hey, so look, this is as close to one page as we get, right?
Yes.
Love it.
Great.
It's literally one page.
Literally.
So I got my wish.
It's a big page, but it's a fun page.
And it can almost fit in my pocket, so it's great.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. Ms. Richardson.
Taina, team, everybody who was a part of this is amazing. When I think about the way that we analyzed words, and people would laugh, but truly, if you were in some of our workshops, there was times that we got stuck on a word or two. But sitting here right now and looking at 2 years worth of work, this is going to affect our families, our staff, and our students. And it was all worth it. And now everything that we do aligns with this. This is beautiful. Not just what I'm holding, does it look beautiful, but the thought that went into it, the effort went into it, but now the work that goes into it. So thank you. This is absolutely amazing. It's kind of like holding your baby in your hands for the first time and realizing it's real. We made this. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. I don't see any other, oh, sorry, there we go. I spoke too soon. Mr. Chapa.
Thank you, President McMurrow. I am really pleased with the final product, and like you said, it took a long time to get here, but I think one of the things that stands out to me looking through this is not just it took a long time for us to get here and it's very well thought out and everything, but we've sort of been following this as we have been adopting it. These 5 priorities have, in the last year and a half, come to define how we approach just about everything we do on the board and really as a district. And so, yes, this is a final product and it's nice and succinct and we can point to it, but it really shows, we have shown through action that we are proceeding down this path. And so I think we're already off to a really good start in preventing what I think is sort of the Achilles heel of lots of strategic plans in which there is a lot of work done on the front end and we get to the nice, final, shiny product, and it looks really great and it sounds really good, and then it's just sort of put on a shelf, and the implementation part of it sort of gets lost to chance. And so we've, in a way, inverted that normal progression to where we started acting on these principles and priorities as we were developing them. And so I think they were strengthened by our practice, and hopefully they'll be enduring and this will serve us well for the next 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chapa, for bringing that up. And yes, it is really exciting. And I hope that each of you and staff, everyone who played a part in this, really feels a sense of pride, because what I see right here is not just a plan, it's practice. It's our practice that, like you mentioned, Mr. Chapa, it's already in play. And when we first adopted those 5 board priorities, we weren't quite sure how long they would be our priorities. And we really saw the need to hold tightly to them, and we didn't put a deadline for ourselves. This has really become an aligned strategic plan where everything connects and everything is interrelated. And I see that year after year, we will continue to maybe have a lot of the same priorities and the same vision, but as we get closer to what we really want to achieve as a school district, those can evolve. But this is really the cornerstone of all of that. So kudos to my colleagues, to you, Dr. Smith, to staff. It's something that I'm really excited for. And yes, thank you, Ms. Northington and team, for putting this together so well so that everyone can understand this content, whether you understand educational jargon or not. This is something that I think everyone can understand and really see what is special and what is intentional about Arlington ISD. Thank you. All right, any other discussion we do have a motion. Oh, Mr. Wilbanks.
Yeah, thank you, President McMurrow, and I just want to commend my colleagues for all the hard work that was put in on this and the great dialogue that we had along the way. I know it took a while, but it was all important conversations so that we're all aligned. And that's the thing that makes this board great, is that alignment that we see here. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilbanks. If there's no further discussion, we have a motion from Mr. Wilbanks to approve the strategic plan as presented and a second by Ms. Fowler. Any further discussion? If there is none, we will now move to vote. The strategic plan is adopted. The motion passes unanimously. Trustee Wilbanks kept us on the edge of our seats. We will now move to the consent agenda. Is there any discussion on the consent agenda this evening? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Thank you. We have a motion from Ms. Fowler. Is there a second? Second from Ms. Haynes. Any further discussion? We will now move to vote. Thank you. The consent agenda passes. It is now time for our open forum for non-agenda items. As stated on the posted agenda, members of the public who desire to address the board regarding an item on this agenda are required to register at www.aisd.net/board meeting speaker request. Ms. DaCosta, do we have any requesters registered to address the board for non-agenda items?
President McMurrow, we do. We have one.
Thank you. I would like to invite Miss Saida Saeed to the podium. Welcome, Miss Saeed. We know you've been here before, and I'll go ahead and read the routine part of the board agenda, speaker expectations. This segment of the meeting provides citizens with an opportunity to share their views with trustees on items that are not on the agenda tonight. It is not intended to be a discussion or a debate, and trustees will not reply to the speakers. Derogatory comments aimed at an individual will not be tolerated. Personnel matters are not appropriate subjects for open forum. You will have 3 minutes to speak. The timer will ring when your 3 minutes is up. If you have any documents for our board to review, please hand them to our Chief Operations Officer, Dr. Hill, and when you're ready, your 3 minutes will begin.
Good evening, trustees. I'm Sayeda Sayed. I've seen a great addition in Arlington ISD from my ISD, Mr. Kyle Berger. He's sitting there. You guys get the best deal. It's a loss for GCISD. Well, I'm here to talk about Tarrant Appraisal District. So in the last entity meeting, I don't know if anyone from Arlington ISD was present or not, but I can tell you what happened during the meeting. The chief appraiser mentioned that in 2025 tax year, overall Tarrant County lost 12% of the taxable value. In 2026, we lost over 13%, probably 13.2% around that number. And they are going to appraise properties in 2027. But 17% of total property value for 2027 is already lost. They cannot recapture that for several years, because as per Texas Property Tax Code, they cannot go back 2 years to recapture those values and calculate the appraisals. On the other hand, in 2025 tax year, 400,000 properties out of 720,000 residential accounts were overvalued. 204,000 got it fixed because property owners filed a protest against appraisal district, and it's fixed. 195,000 properties, that is over 26% of properties, were overvalued for 2025 tax roll. 2026 numbers, I did not get it yet, but by the end of the year, definitely will get it. So this is the pattern. And I have attended Commissioner's Court meeting today morning. Probably they are going to adopt the below new revenue. And the difference is 73 cents you will save with the average property value of $277,000. On the other hand, I have attended in the morning another meeting at TCC, and they are going to increase $2. But I can see a very, very specific pattern to defund the public education. It is going towards a systemic failure of the public education. So please, when it's time for people to endorse for appraisal district, and I believe now it's the time, I would say to everyone, endorsed with your heart, because that will affect the kids everywhere in Tarrant County. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Saeed. We will now move on to our superintendent's report. Dr. Smith.
Trustees, tonight, I think it's fitting that we talk about the culture that you want to see in Arlington ISD, and that we share aspirations for together in establishing an inclusive culture of respect, support, and continuous improvement for all students, staff, and families in my report this year. This is my last superintendent report for the year, apparently. No, for this month. So wanted to make sure that I gave a shout out to our team that did our back to school kickoff. As you all know, yes, they deserve a big round of applause. As you all know, this is a big deal in Arlington ISD every year, and it's a phenomenal event that we not only hand out thousands of backpacks for students to provide them with supplies, but that they're getting critical medical and personal support in order to start the school year off right. And to be able to actually have dental exams that are provided for our families that might need them the most, or haircuts to make a student feel good about the first day of school, or this year, the new addition, even a pair of shoes for students that needed some new shoes along the way. It's a phenomenal event. Mr. Aaron Perales heads this up every year and really deserves our utmost thanks for bringing a community together to do something special for kids. And it all goes back to the idea of everyone feeling supported in our school district. The second thing I wanted to highlight is the continued culture of partnerships that we have in the district. And this, you can see, we were with the Rangers over the weekend, this last weekend. Corey Seeger and his foundation every year donate hundreds of dollars to multiple Arlington ISD families to help them get some school supplies and clothes to get started off every year. I do want to note, I mentioned to him the other day that it would be great if they beat the Orioles that night, and he did hit a home run that evening, so I do think he was directly listening to me that day and helped out that way as well. But in all seriousness, the support that we get from the Rangers and so many other partnerships across this district is truly phenomenal, and it all goes to that idea of making sure that every student and every family feels supported in our system. And then finally, this event that we had over the week, this week in Convocation, we haven't had one since I've been here, and it's extremely exciting to actually have the opportunity to bring everyone together and share the vision that you've adopted and the work that you've done as trustees over the course of the year to make sure that we're all pointed in the same direction and that we believe that we can accomplish something pretty spectacular together. So to our comms team, to our fine arts team, to our CTE team, and all the people that got together to make our convocation happen, that really highlighted the experience that we want for students and staff in Arlington ISD. It was a wonderful event, and I'm proud to be a part of this amazing team. And that includes our superintendent's report for the month.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Now we will move on to board reports. Are there any trustees with reports this evening? Seeing none, I just want to thank you all again for joining senior staff and Dr. Smith and senior staff. Thank you all for inviting our board to join you all on the first day of school. We truly loved our visits. We will now move on to our secretary report. Ms. Richardson, do we have any items to report?
We do not. Not at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. All items on tonight's agenda have been addressed, and we have no matters to discuss in closed session. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned at 8:55 p.m.